So we're ready to start Veterans Day 2019. And a big welcome to all the veterans and their families. Welcome to the Gold Star families for coming. Everyone else that's coming, we thank you for that. And we thank all the veterans that served and those that are serving now even. So we just really appreciate this day. It's really a time to tell these guys thanks for what they've done. At this time, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, Ron Chappelle's going to come forward and offer our prayer this morning. Please remove your cover.
Amen. Father God, you know that it can be difficult for a person who has returned from battle or stressful military service to reintegrate into normal everyday life. And you know that veterans can feel isolated and alone, even in the midst of their friends and families, because there are few around who can truly understand the experience. Lord, you know how deep a warrior's wounds go. You know the loss experienced by our veterans in body and soul. You know the memories that haunt them and the scars that many of them continue to carry. So I ask you to place in the path of our veterans those who do understand or strive to, that they may feel less alone. Remind them often that while their fellow human beings may never fully comprehend, you see, you know, and you identify with them in everything. Please bring healing to those veterans who still hurt, and please grant understanding to those around them who may not understand. Father, please turn your gaze to those men and women who, in their military service, have sacrificed time, comfort, strength, ambition, health, and prosperity for the peace and safety of family and friends, and others that they've never even known. And please reward them 100-fold for all of their sacrifice and service, and bless them far beyond all their expectations. Reward them richly for all they have given. Bless us in our celebration today. And I pray this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
At this time, we're going to bring the POW MIA wreath forward with Gary Franklin and Joe Goebel. At this time, Cindy Slick is going to come and sing the National Anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Cindy, for that. At this time, Mayor Dave Snow will come forward and read the official proclamation. Mayor Snow.
We come together on this day to remember our veterans, to pay tribute to our veterans. Their selfless service is the hallmark of our independence, and to also remember and pay tribute and honor to their families, particularly our Gold Star families. Thank you to our veterans, and thank you to those families who have given a gift to us in their service. Whereas on November 11th, 1918, the armistice was signed, ending the 4-year conflict of World War I. An act of Congress in 1938 declared November 11th a legal holiday, and in 1954, Armistice Day was then changed to Veterans Day, honoring American veterans of all wars. And whereas a new generation of patriotic men and women have inherited from their forefathers a sense of unity, bravery, and commitment to protecting and serving our country. And whereas the United States Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, National Guard, and Coast Guard all join together with a common bond and make up the world's finest military. And whereas Veterans Memorial Park is a beautiful and fitting tribute to veterans of all wars and is a gem of our community. And whereas today, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, we celebrate our beloved veterans. Now, therefore, I, David M. Snow, Mayor of the City of Richmond, do hereby proclaim November 11th, 2019, as a celebration of Veterans Day in the City of Richmond. And I call upon all citizens to display your flag or decorate your homes and windows, paying tribute to the sacrifice of our veterans of the United States Armed Forces who have exhibited courage and dedication for the cause of peace and freedom around the world. We give our thanks for your service. Thank you. Thank you. I have a special proclamation to read today. It is always an honor for me to come here and read a proclamation for Veterans Day. Today I have a proclamation that I'm honored to read, but I'm sad to read as well. The local veterans of this community have lost a brother, and the City of Richmond has lost a true partner and friend in Wally Dudek. I have a special proclamation here for Wally. Whereas Walter Dudek was born on March 12, 1941, and raised in Dearborn, Michigan. And whereas Walter, known to his friends and family and all of us as Wally, joined the U.S. Army during the Vietnam War at the age of 18 and was stationed in Aberdeen, Maryland. And whereas, despite never being stationed in Vietnam, his veteran friends considered him a Vietnam brother. And whereas, after his time in the Army, he led a career with the Piedmont Airlines and continued his service by becoming a member of the Vets for Vets in Indianapolis and the Vietnam Veterans Chapter 777 here in Richmond. And whereas, as a member of the Rolling Thunder Motorcycle Group, he made several trips to Washington, D.C., where he became interested in the POW MIA program, which he was actively involved in locally and was this year's guest speaker. And whereas beyond his service to his country and our community, Wally was a committed family man who was married to Marlene for 56 years. They had 4 children, several grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, and he was very involved in all of their activities. And whereas the city of Richmond and specifically Veterans Memorial Park owe much gratitude to Wally for the many years he gave of his time and his passion to this veteran community. Now therefore, I, David M. Snow, Mayor of the City of Richmond, and on behalf of all citizens of this great city, do hereby honor the life, the memory, and the legacy of Walter Wally Dudek, and recognize his contributions to this beautiful park where we take a moment to honor him today. And I present this to Marlene.
Now we're going to introduce Dr. Bradberry, who is our state representative, and he's going to share a few words with us about veterans.
Thank you. Brad, excuse me, pick it up and stay close like a rock star, otherwise they won't hear you.
Thank you, Al. It is an honor and a privilege to stand before you on Veterans Day 2019. We gather on this special day in this special place to recognize this special group of people. You know, less than 10% of Americans have earned the title veteran, and yet 100% of Americans enjoy the bounty of freedoms gained by the sacrifice of those few. Personally, when I think about what defines a veteran, one word comes to mind: sacrifice. In the Cambridge English Dictionary, sacrifice is defined as a verb meaning to give up something for something else considered more important. In reality, it represents the ultimate gift of oneself to a greater cause. For some, sacrifice meant just delaying education or employment to enter the armed forces. For others, it meant temporarily leaving one's family and friends to serve in the military. For others, it meant the ultimate loss of life or limb in combat in the absence of personal gain, solely for the benefit of others. As we gather here today, as a community, in the presence of these American heroes, with the freedom to assemble and freely speak and bear arms and enjoy religious freedom, and even some of us take the time to vote, let us not forget those wounded in battle that live every day with physical or mental scars, personal losses for our collective gain. Let us not forget those who lost their lives in combat, the ultimate sacrifice for our American freedom. Let us not forget the friends and families that have suffered either the temporary absence of a loved one or the permanent loss of a true American hero. And let us not forget those POWs and those missing in action who never themselves got to enjoy the liberties that they selfishly defended. One veteran I'd like to honor today is my father, Richard J. Barrett. He served 2 years in the Pacific with the Navy on an LST. He died in 2014 as a result of pulmonary fibrosis, likely from asbestos exposure on a Navy ship. He lived with pride in his service to his country, and he had no regrets. In fact, his tombstone is inscribed with 4 simple words: God, family, service, and country. I carry his Navy patch and pin with me today in my pocket. I carry his ideals and memory in my heart. My only regret in life was never serving my country in the military. My remedy is to remember and respect and now represent those veterans that did. As a community, let us use today as a reminder of the sacrifice that each and every veteran has made on our behalf. As George Washington once said, the willingness with which our young people are likely to serve in any war shall be directly proportional to how they perceive the veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated by their nation. With that in mind, may God bless our veterans, may God bless Indiana, and may God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Barrett, for that. At this time, Ron Wiedeke is going to come forward and say a few things on behalf of the veterans.
Thank you, Al. Been a busy weekend for veterans. Thank everyone for coming out for the Veterans Parade. Had a successful parade downtown. Got a chance to bring it back downtown this year. Yesterday we fittingly retired about 2,000 American flags in ceremony. And today we culminate the weekend with our Veterans Day ceremony here today. I'd like to talk a little bit today about our veterans' camaraderie. As veterans here in Wayne County, we commemorate our fallen comrades on Memorial Day, those missing or held captive on POW MIA Day, and honor our living veterans on Veterans Day. The veterans in our community have a long history of working together for a greater good of us all. This memorial park is a good example of the work done for and by local veterans, cooperating and working together through our veterans organizations. The Memorial Park Committee, made up totally of volunteers, has created this beautiful area through their own cooperative efforts. There's a common bond that exists between the men and women who have shared the military experience. There exists a shared sense of duty and a common belief in a cause higher than self. Our nation's veterans served the country, and by doing so assumed all the risks associated with maintaining freedom. There also exists a shared intensity of dedication to the idea of freedom and the ideals of democracy. There is an understanding and respect for each other because we each realize that we have contributed to the greater good, and there is an understanding and shared knowledge of the value of our deeds. We understand the true essence of America. We need to foster this brotherhood and continue to work together. We should never let petty jealousies or trivial personalities stand in the way of this brotherhood. Freedom and liberty are the birthright of every American, but we have had to fight for it. Maintaining the strength of the American ideal requires courage and constant vigilance against those who envy what we have often taken for granted. It requires great love for the American way of life. Without the love, the dedication of spirit, and without the sacrifice of our veterans, tyrants and evil would prevail. For every single man and woman who has donned a U.S. military uniform, by virtue of their service and sacrifice, today is their day to stand tall and be recognized by a grateful nation.
Thank you for that, Ron. And while I've got the time, I'd like to thank a few people for what they've done today. I'd like to thank Cindy Slick for the music today. She's around someplace. There she is. Wave real big. I'd like to thank Denny Burns. He's very loyal in bringing this sound equipment in, and without him, you couldn't hear me at all. So thank Denny for doing that. Thank Dr. Barrett for coming and saying a few words. And thank you. Let me just say a few things about the veteran community. I was humbled by the fact that I was the Grand Marshal this year. And I'd like to thank everyone out there that participated in that and everyone that made that possible. You don't know what that means to me. So I'd like to thank every one of you for what you've done. I'd like to thank all the service organizations that participate in this. It's just a great time for veterans, and it's a time for us to be proud that we're Americans and that somebody took the oath one of these days to fight for this country. We just need to keep it free and keep it on the right path. So without any more, I'm going to shut up. And I also want to thank Eric Marsh for Whitewater Valley TV. He's very loyal in taping some of these things. And so without that, we're going to close out now with just a little memory of Jim Hall, who was the head of the Honor Guard for years. Jim was a relentless leader, and boy, just to be around him, you knew that he had the respect and all of that. So without any more, let's have the Honor Guard. They're going to close everything out, and I'm going to turn it over to John Emmerich. And thank everyone for coming today, and make it a great Veterans Day. Go out and eat someplace. It's free. Okay, John.
All right, good morning. My name is Marcus Moyer. I'm a major in the United States Marine Corps, currently serving with VMM 162 out of Jacksonville, North Carolina, Marine Corps Air Station New River. This is my son Dakota. We are here in Indiana this weekend celebrating Veterans Day, more accurately honoring Veterans Day. We had the opportunity to speak in several locations here in the local area, Centerville, the middle school there, and in several churches yesterday, and what a tremendous opportunity. It is so good to be able to travel around the country and see the good people of America that feel strongly about the country, and they feel strongly about their veterans, and it is greatly appreciated both from me and as I know it is for the veterans all over the country. So thank you.
Thank you. Major, could you go into a little bit into a little depth about what actually it is you do in your service to our country?
Sure. Not to go too far back in history, but I graduated from West Point in 2004, went off to Officer Basic School in Virginia, Quantico, Virginia, then out to Camp Pendleton, California, learned to fly the CH-46, and then in 2009 I transitioned to fly the V-22 Osprey. It's a tilt rotor, takes off like a helicopter and then transitions to forward flight. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for being here today. And the V-22 is an assault support aircraft. Primarily its job is to deliver combat troops to the objective so that they can close with and destroy the enemies of our country. That's what we do. That's what they do. And in the course of my time, I've been blessed to be in several places, involved in a lot of things that I felt that I didn't deserve to be involved in, but I was very grateful that I was given the opportunity. Deployed several times with Marine Expeditionary Units on several different U.S. ships, the USS Iwo Jima, the USS Kearsarge, serving in the Mediterranean Sea, Red Sea, Gulf of Aden, Gulf of Oman, Arabian Gulf, Iraq, Afghanistan. So just very blessed to be able to be a part of this fantastic organization, the Marine Corps, celebrating its 244th birthday. I think we look pretty good for being 244 years old, but I've been absolutely honored to be a part of that organization and to be able to serve our country. And I know all veterans everywhere feel the same sense of gratitude for the opportunity to serve.
Well, awesome. On behalf of Wayne County and Richmond, Indiana, we want to thank you for your sacrifice to our country, and we greatly appreciate you sharing that with us today.
Thank you, sir. I was telling the mayor, I appreciate the people of Indiana. I told him I'm a Southern boy. I was born and raised in South Carolina, But the weekend that I've been able to spend here with the people of Indiana, I've absolutely fallen in love with the people of Centerville, the people of Richmond. They are just great people, and I think they are what keeps America what it is. They're the good people that keep America great. I've shared this in a couple of locations. Alexis de Tocqueville used to say that America is great because America is good, and that if America ever ceases to be good, America will cease to be great. And I think it is the people of Indiana and people like them all over this country, the good people, that are keeping America great. And I appreciate what you are and what you do. Please
Well,
keep
awesome,
it up.
and we appreciate you more than you know. Thank you.
Sir.
Thanks, young fellow.